kind of a special day, kind of. You know, why not? Because numbers, you can make anything you want out of them. Numerologists say there's so many important things to do with numbers. I don't know. You see all the 13 stuff with Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl? The flight is 13 hours. The number minus the other number is 13. All the stuff that they're doing. Well, let's take that arbitrary value and place it right here, right now, on this very podcast. Welcome to Green Beans Jets Pod, episode number 150. There you go, 150. Woohoo! All right. Wow. Amazing. We like the number 50, don't we? It's like 50s are good. 50s are good. I think 50-year wedding anniversary is diamond, baby. So what is this? What happens if you're married 150 years? What do they give you? What do they give you? You know, I just did the 16th marriage marriage anniversary with my wife this year. You know what the traditional gift for the 16th year is? Anybody know? It's wax. Wax. So what do they give me for 150 episodes? What do we do? I don't know. I don't know what happens with the 100. I don't think anything. They don't expect you to be married that long, I don't think. And if you are, you know, number one, congrats on living fucking 170 years or whatever it is. But in addition to that, holy macaroni, could you imagine 150 years with one person? I don't know. Somewhere around the 80th year, you're like, really? Like, can we change it up a smidge? Maybe make something different? Stop using so much pepper! Something like that. Anyway, I'm happy that you're here for episode 150. We're going to have a good time. We have more drama to discuss, don't we? We have more. Just, you know, it's funny. The last couple of weeks I've been saying it's amazing how through this down period, even like when there's supposed to be so much hype around the Super Bowl, the biggest game of the year, what's the story? The Jets. It's the craziest thing how we are consistently among the top news stories of the week. And we did it again this week. And everybody's jumping on. You know, I see ESPN. I see people talking about it around the league. You know, all these league sources. And everybody's got an opinion of the Jets' dysfunction. So we'll talk about that. We also have some potential for former Jets greats that want to come back to the team. We could talk about that. Oh, my gosh. Could you imagine talking about reliving a little bit of former potential glory, the opportunity to capture what was meant to be. Imagine. All right. We'll talk about that. We also have some fun. Look, players were cut around the league, so we want them. The Jets got to get it, right? We do that whole thing. As soon as somebody's cut, get on it, JD. We do that. So, but hey, maybe there's some validity to it, so we'll talk about that a little bit. The Bears, namely, they're cutting some people at positions of need, so what are you going to do? Kick the tires, as they say. What else we got here? Ooh, our former GM, Michael Tannenbaum the first, talking about trades. Ooh, a perfect Jets trade. We'll talk about that a little bit, too. So we're going to have a good time here today. Before we get started, a couple of small house cleaning type items. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Smash the old milk thumbs for Green Bean for episode 150. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, today's the day. Woo! I've been waiting. I want to see if this ugly bearded bastard gets to 150 episodes. Then I'll subscribe. Well, we're here, duder. You can do it. The gates have been opened for you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It means the world. Get this going and help us grow on the YouTube-sphere. And don't forget about the Talkin' Jets network of shows. We have the Tuesday Talkin' Jets panel with Ryan and Matt O'Leary. We have the Monday night draft show with Ryan and Dom C. We have the Wednesday night armchair GM with myself and the great Tigo. And then we have Matt O'Leary and Jeremy with the Thursday reality check, 3 p.m. on Thursdays. They are really some interesting conversations going on. And now, I wasn't at this last week's show. I will admit I had COVID this last week. Isn't that something? I'm feeling crummy. My wife's in bed. We're getting our butts kicked. My daughter's sick. I got a sore throat. And then we take tests, and guess what? Got the old thing. It's back around. And I'll tell you, man, it knocked me out for a couple days there. Right around the show, Wednesday, Thursday. Really, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was the worst. Friday, I was still kind of hanging around. But I'm back. I feel good. I'm at like 79%. What do you think? So we're good. We should be nice and amped up for this show. It's going to be a good one. The other thing I'll tell you about is the sponsor for the show, the one and only Liquid IV. There they are right there. The hydration multiplier. Here's the banana flavor. This is a kid's flavor. They have more flavors. Of course, this is one of the kids. They have like cotton candy and things of that nature. But guys, you can save 15% on any Liquid IV purchase by going to their website. I put the link right in the description. Use the promo code Jetsfan on that exit cart thing, the checkout they call it. Right. So go ahead and check out. Use promo code Jetsfan. Save yourself 15% on your entire order and get the world's greatest hydration multiplier, Liquid IV. And thanks to Liquid IV for sponsoring the show. So let's go ahead and get right in this thing with the news of the week. All right, let's get this one started with Jamal Adams. Oh my gosh, what is going on? Jamal Adams is expected to be cut from the Seattle Seahawks, the Seahawks of Seattle. So remember, Jamal Adams was the guy that Mike McCagnon thought he was going to change the organization. He was going to be the face of the franchise. He needed this player so much so that he decided to pass over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes because we drafted Hackenberg. We also had Bryce Petty on the staff or on the crew, right? So we had Bryce Petty, who McCagnon, everybody forgets, traded up for in a previous draft. Then he took Christian Hackenberg with a second-round pick, and he didn't need a quarterback, he thought. That's what he thought. I don't need a quarterback. I got quarterbacks. So he passed on those guys and wanted Jamal Adams. And we were, not that we didn't want the quarterback. We all did. But we still thought the player was going to be great. And I'll tell you what. First couple of years, Jamal Adams was a hitting machine, really, really stellar performer, high energy player and all that. A little bit more talking than we'd like, the whole thing at the Pro Bowl, jumping on and hurting the poor kid with the Patriots mascot mask on thing. He jumps he just jumps on his back. Like there's a fucking guy in there, man. So, stuff like that, it built up. And then we get the whole thing on the exit with the Manish Mehta article where he cried, he was depressed, and all this stuff. I hate this team, and I hate the coach, and blah, blah, blah. Goes to Seattle. We get 2 first-round picks, which we have turned into Elijah Vera Tucker and Garrett Wilson. No complaints there on our end, but Seattle, very excited to get him. He's given Seattle some positives, right? Gave them 2 interceptions in 4 years. We know Jamal Adams can't catch. Not that he didn't have many opportunities. Ball hits him in the face, hits him in the chest, hits him in the hands, all those kind of terrible places to hit Jamal Adams with the ball. So he did snag 2. So he got his first interceptions from a starting quarterback. He had 2 with the Jets as well, but they were like in garbage time, second string quarterback kind of thing. So he gave him 2 interceptions, but he did have 48 tackles in 9 games last year. He's also been routinely injured for the Seahawks, has not really given them what they hoped they were going to receive. So they expect to cut him because he's the highest paid safety in the league, or at least he was when he signed his contract. And they want to get that off the books. Not worth it. So here he comes. Now, it's an interesting thing with Jamal Adams. Do we want that back? The first thing is, hell no, man. I don't want a crybaby. I don't want some guy that's going to be ruining the chemistry on the team. But you gotta think about something. He's going into this will be his 8th season, right? Now, the guy came in, he's all full of piss and vinegar. He's talking this and that, lighting cigars when he goes to Seattle, when they get to the playoffs. So there's lots of stuff. But slowly but surely, it just chips away at things. You start to realize, hey, man, maybe maybe it's not going to go as I thought. Maybe I can't move mountains like I thought I could. And there's a term, getting humbled by life. You think Jamal Adams might be a tad humbled? Well, it's an interesting thing. You know, I have a story. Years ago in 2011, I got to hang out backstage at it was a Poison, what was it? Poison and Motley Crue. That's what it was. Motley Crue and Poison at the the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel down there in Hollywood, Florida. I got to go backstage and hang out with Poison, and Lita Ford was there, but Vanilla Ice was hanging out back there, and I got to spend some real quality time with Vanilla Ice. Now, I remember Vanilla Ice being just the epitome of a punk, right? You know, the whole drop a mic like a vandal, like that whole thing. And he was kind of remember when he was denying that was a Queen riff, that he sampled it, the doom 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 doom. He's like, but we added one bass note, so it's not the same. The piano was everything's the same. So he was kind of like an outward douchey kind of guy. But I had the best time with him. He was the coolest guy in the world. I'll put up some pictures here. You'll see in the one picture I'm hanging out with him, and that's the drummer of Poison, Ricky Rocket, and we're hanging out, having a good time. But I said after the show to my buddy, I said, Vanilla Ice, dude, he really surprised me. I hung out with him for like 3 hours. He was just the coolest guy. We had a great time talking about all kinds of stuff, and he's very funny. And I said to my buddy, wow, he was really a great guy. And he said, yeah. Yeah, I bet he was. He's been humbled by life, and that stuck with me. It's very true. Like when you're a punk, when you're especially when you're young, you're difficult. You think who you are, all that stuff, and then shit happens through life, and you lose, and you're not the best, and maybe things don't go according to your plan, and all those kinds of things. And then you kind of settle down. You go, you know what? Man, my career is just ticking by. My years of being able to do that. Maybe gratitude starts to slip in. You go, I just want to work hard. I want to go somewhere and do my part and be a part of the whole and do the thing and try to just get as much out of this as I can. That starts to happen. So maybe with Jamal Adams, maybe. Now, why do we say that he's entertaining a comeback? Well, he's been liking tweets from 2020. So, and just tweets that have to do with like the Jets, so he's been liking stuff. What are you doing back in the past and all that stuff? So it's just an interesting thing. He's going to get released. He's liking stuff about the Jets. Now, let's take a look at this. Would Joe Douglas consider bringing this guy back who was such a butthole when he left? Well, the guy he was talking about, namely, was Adam Gase. So Adam Gase is gone, so who cares? But Joe Douglas could be somewhat of a coup if you go and you get the 2 first-round picks in the third, and then you get the guy back in a couple years and you pay him, a quarter of what he wanted at the time. Maybe, because the one thing you can give Jamal Adams, if he stays healthy, is he's a sure-ass tackler. He's a heat-seeking missile, and he's good, right? He's never the greatest, never as good as he thought he was. But he's a good player. So if he could just kind of settle in and play his role with a Sauce and a DJ Reed and a Michael Carter and a CJ Mosley and Quinnen and Quincy Williams and those guys, and if he could just kind of play that strong safety role and just be up in the box like they want to use him, he's not going to do the Jordan Whitehead thing. I don't know. Maybe you do. Now, what is he going to want? If you can pay him $3.5 million, $4 million, $5 million, something like that. Maybe you do it, but it's got to be drama free. I don't know if he can do it, even being humbled by life. Man, it's entertainable, but I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you want Jamal Adams back? If we can get him back, let's say for $5 million, something like that. Would you bring him back? I don't know. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see who's the guy eating humble pie in that respect. Is it Joe Douglas or is it Jamal Adams? I don't know. I think Jamal Adams would have to be the guy with the tail between the legs, so to speak. Now, what I really think it is just Jamal Adams keeping his options open. He doesn't want anything to be off the table. If anybody wants him, he wants to be able to entertain it, and that's what I think it is. But who knows? Remember how depressed he was here. Remember how depressed? So very important. You got to make sure his mental health is okay. He was depressed in Seattle too, so maybe he's just got to think that. We'll see. So let's now talk about the Mike Tannenbaum trade scenario. Now, there was a few trades that he put out there, but let's talk about the Jets one. So former Jets GM, who, by the way, when we talk about this playoff drought, the last guy that was our general manager when we made the playoffs happens to be Mike Tannenbaum. I know you young guys. I mean, there are fans that have been fans for almost 15 years, and they've never been in the playoffs. So the last time we did, this was the guy in charge. Now, Mike Tannenbaum put together some really great trades, whether you look at the Santonio Holmes for a fifth, I think it was. The Braylon Edwards trade was masterful. How about the trade to move up for Mark Sanchez? I mean, you look back at that trade, it was 3 players we didn't want. Brett Ratliff, the one of those number 2 quarterback preseason hero guys that Mangini loved, and a linebacker and somebody else. I think maybe Chancey Stuckey was involved in the Braylon Edwards trade, I believe. Like him or not, with Sanchez, he was able to move up way into the, deeper into the first round or higher into the first round for peanuts. So you got to give it to him. He was able to get Chris Jenkins over here. Lots of really solid trades. The Tebow one, maybe not so much. It was kind of the beginning of the end. But you got to give it to the guy. We used to call him Trader Mike. That's what we used to call him. He was like, you knew Mike McCagnon, if he wanted a guy, he was going to get the guy. That was one thing you felt confident with Mike Tannenbaum. But he comes forward with this trade this week. He suggests that the Jets and the Cowboys get on the horn, and they straight up trade C.J. Mosley for wide receiver Brandon Cooks. Now, it's an interesting one. Like, in order to just, I believe in the idea of entertain. Look at all the potentials involved, right? You got to take a look. But, I mean, from the surface, I think, are you nuts? I think it's crazy to me. Now, why is it crazy? Let's look at that off the rip. Well, C.J. Mosley is the leader of the defense, right? Everybody looks to him. He's kind of the centerpiece. He's the leader. Now, has he lost a step? Yeah, I think so. But he knows how to kind of will himself in there. Like, you look at the Cleveland Browns game, he kind of got brutalized that first half by Njoku. He was the main recipient of the Njoku success. But in the second half, they stiffened up and C.J. Mosley played very well. And, I think he's still among the better middle linebackers in the NFL. So you're talking about trading. It's not equal, right? In that respect, it's not equal. Like you're sending away and creating a potential vacuum by the leader leaving, right? You're sending away the leader of a really, really upper tier defense, and you're getting a wide receiver that is good. And I've always liked Brandon Cooks. The truth is, when we took the Louisville Slugger I forget what was that, 2017 draft, 16, whatever the hell it was, 2014 draft. Brandon Cooks was on the board, and that was the guy I was screaming for. So he should have been a Jet. He could have been a Jet. They took the safety. What are you going to do? Brandon Cooks is entering his 11th season in the NFL. Now, he has 6 1,000-yard seasons. So in 2023, he had 657 yards. On 81 targets, 54 receptions. He had 8 touchdowns, 1 fumble, and he's credited with 2 drops. So not bad, man. Not a bad thing right there to be. You think about it. It's technically a dip. The previous year he had 699 yards. After 6 out of 7 of the previous seasons being 1,000 yards. I mean, it's pretty damn good. I mean, look how excited we are that Garrett Wilson's getting 1,000 yards. Brandon Cooks does that. So, and you think you hang out with CeeDee Lamb for a little bit, your numbers are going to go down a little, right? So he's still got 657, 8 touchdowns. That's very, very valuable. Now, C.J. Mosley's going into his 10th season. They think what their value is. So Brandon Cooks is going to cost $10 million next year. C.J. Mosley is $21 million next year. If it's a post-June 1st trade, the dead cap for the Jets ends up it's $4.4 million. So they're going down from 21 to 4.4 million, even with the 10 million for Brandon Cooks. It's 14 million. You're saving yourself a whole bunch of money. What's 21 minus 14? What is that? 8, 7, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 7. 7. So it's $7 million, which you can go and get, a reserve tackle, whoever. You can get a backup quarterback for that. You know what I mean? So it's very, very valuable if you're going to consider it. Now you have to weigh this all out. Is the production and value of C.J. Mosley's leadership? Is it worth getting that bona fide solid number 2? It wouldn't be a long-term answer, but it would definitely be a solid number 2. Right? It's just, I don't think there's any question about that. And the savings of approximately $7 million. Is that worth it? Losing that. How do you replace CJ Mosley? Is it Jamien Sherwood? Do you feel good about that? I mean, I like Jamien Sherwood a whole bunch. I don't know if I'm ready for him to replace CJ Mosley yet, but interesting. I don't know. I think, hey, just go out and get, if you want to trade for Brandon Cooks or something, go ahead and get Tyler Boyd. Do it that way. Keep CJ Mosley. You don't need to do all that. But it's the money. They have to do something with CJ Mosley's contract. He's over $21,476,000 on the cap this year with zero guaranteed, which is just so interesting. Nothing guaranteed. And we paid him that last year with nothing guaranteed. $21 million. So it's $42 million in 2 years. That's a lot of donuts, man. So I don't know. They got to rework CJ Mosley, in my opinion. Get him down to approximately $10 million and just go about it that way. But I don't know. Me personally, I think no to this trade. What do you think? Let me know. Are you willing to do it? Do you believe in Sherwood enough? You got the guy in-house. You get Brandon Cooks. You save $7 million. Hey, Sherwood's been here this will be his 4th year. Why not? I don't know. What do you think? Again, I'm saying no. So now let's look. There are cuts around the league. Well, there's a rumor of David Bakhtiari being cut. That's from yesterday. Turns out it's not factual. It's like when you bet, it's always so important to back these things up, these Twitter rumors. David Bakhtiari is getting cut. It backed up. I just saw earlier, Michael Nanya did the work for us this week. So it depends. It's always one of us going, all right, where did this come from? A couple years ago when the Jets were coaching the Senior Bowl and we talked about Braxton Berrios wanting $9 million. And it was me. I just went back and where did it come from? It came from Rich Cimini's conversation with an agent that had nothing to do with Braxton Berrios. He said, I don't know. I could see him asking for almost $9 million. That's all it was. And it became this whole huge thing. Well, this is very, very similar. It's just a guy saying that he thinks they should cut him. That's all it is. And it's been taken, it's been made into fact, and we're all reacting, and no, it's not real. But if he did, I have a feeling the Jets are probably going to go after him, whether it's for backup, I don't know. Whether or not he would come is a different story because he has openly stated he hates our field. He was mad about the Aaron Rodgers thing. So who knows? But the real ones are the Bears cut Eddie Jackson, a safety, and we also saw Cody Whitehair released, and we're wondering if the Jets should just pounce, right? We need a safety. We need an offensive lineman. So the interesting thing about Cody Whitehair is that he's played all over the line. Center, left guard, right guard. I think he's even he has some time at tackle. But so he's very, very versatile. Now this year, not so good. PFF, if you're buying into it, but we'll use it. They gave him a rating of 45 overall. Not the best. But before that, he has, near the 70s, 69%, the kind of thing. So I think the problem with him up there is that he was making $14 million with zero guaranteed. So they're cleaning up. They're going to freshen up the joint. They got some draft picks. They're excited up there. So they're going to dump some money and try to freshen this joint up. Now, for the Jets, is he going to make that much money? I don't think he is. Again, he's on a decline, a little bit older. So what are you going to do with this guy? As a depth piece, I think he would be a fantastic get. I think he'd be great. Imagine having a guy like 2022. He had 69 or 68% on PFF, right? 68%, 68 rating on PFF. Not bad, especially coming in off the bench. Now, does he want to do that at this point in his career? I don't know. But it's one of the things. Kick the tires. I'd love to see them kick the tires. What about Eddie Jackson? Another one, $14 million they're saving by cutting him. He's going into his 8th season. He's cost $14.6 million, which is why they cut him. He played 12 games in 2023, but in 2022, he had 80 tackles and 4 picks. So he's one of those guys. He's is he on the decline? Maybe, I don't know. Going into his 8th season, he's not a young tyke, but he's also not old. So I don't know. I'd love to see Eddie Jackson or if you like Jamal Adams. I mean, just get some of these guys in here that have proven they can play. We have a bunch of young guys. Ashton Davis is kind of interesting, but Trey or Tony Adams, poor Trey Dean, damn it. But we got Tony Adams, you got Jarek Bernard Converse back there. So, you know what I mean? We have some questions, whatever they're going to do with Whitehead. Get rid of Whitehead, bring on Whitehair. We already got White Cotton, the defensive line coach. We love this stuff. So why not? Just switch it up. Keep the names flowing in this joint. And we'll see. So I don't know. I think kick the tires for sure. I would not be disappointed to find out that they got these guys at half their salaries. Why not? Why not? Start building that line. I don't give a shit how you do it, quite frankly. I think, again, having Whitehair come off the bench as opposed to, Xavier Newman or even Wes Schweitzer, I'm a big fan of it. I think it would be fantastic. So I'm in favor of trying that one. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. It is funny, though, that Jets fans in general, no matter who gets cut, we want them. We're going to go get them. That's just who we are because we're used to this. It's how we've done things for a long time. But I don't know if they're going to do it. I really want to see some sense of urgency from Joe Douglas this year. I really do. I want to see bold moves. I want to see money spent. I want to see all kinds of exciting things and not reckless per se, but I want to see a set of balls. That's what I want to see. I want to see testicles this year. I want Joe Douglas's testicles to be seen. That's all I ask. Am I asking too much to see Joe Douglas's testes? I don't think I am. But that's that. Now let's get into this friggin' article. Article number 2, drama continues at the New York Jets facility. And for that, let's dive into this week's Intelligent Gripe. All right, so last time it was The Athletic. This time, Tony Pauline is back. Now, this is the thing I'm going to start with Tony Pauline. I feel like he might be jumping on the drama tip a little bit, but you got to give it to Tony Pauline because back in 2019, Jets fans, you may or may not remember this, but the Jets, we had a head coaching search, right? We had Mike Maccagnan as our general manager. They fired Todd Bowles, but retained Mike Maccagnan. To a lot of Jets fans' dismay. Now, admittedly, I want to tell you guys something. While I didn't love Mike Maccagnan, I was in support of keeping him. And why? Because the last few GMs we had, we didn't allow to hire their own damn head coach. Right? I wanted to see a general manager here and hire his own head coach. Like in the Mike Maccagnan thing, Bowles was here before him. It's just so silly to me. And then, you had Idzik, Rex was here before him. So I don't like those power dynamics. I wanted to see something more settled. So that's where I was. Now, looking back, I was 100% right. I didn't love him, but I was kind of in the hope camp, But that said, there was a rumor that came out right after the Jets draft that Mike Maccagnan and Adam Gase, there was a rift. Now, the Jets and lots of other reporters said that is completely false. We're not hearing anything. Everybody in the facility is saying they're fine. Tony Pauline reported that there was a very, very bad relationship. Mike Maccagnan even came out and said Adam Gase makes him laugh. You remember this stuff? Adam Gase makes me laugh. I love Adam Gase. So funny. Adam Gase, the comedian. Maybe that's what he was doing in the press conference. He was trying to make us laugh with the crazy eyes. Maybe. Who knows? But then a very short period after that, we were told no smoke, no fire. All of a sudden, Mike Maccagnan's out. Adam Gase trades Darren Lee for his 6th to the Chiefs. And Joe Douglas comes in. So crazy. After we gave Mike Maccagnan the full control of the draft, and he let him spend $120 million. Now, that's with the whole Le'Veon Bell thing. Remember that? Adam Gase didn't want Bell, all kinds of stuff. C.J. Mosley. We fire him, and Tony Pauline was the only one that was right. So you got to give it to him. So maybe he's right here. Let's take a look at some of these quotes. So this is an interesting article. It's kind of more directed at Joe Douglas this time around, as opposed to the last time where there were some comments about Joe Douglas, but it was largely Saleh and in my opinion. So let's take a look at some of these quotes. So, let's see. I feel like it might be much to do about nothing. Just like I said about the last article, in my opinion, there were just nuggets that were outside of what we already knew. Like Hackett's no good and Salah's too nice and all those things, right? So now we got this one. So let's read this quote. It says, recent revelations informed the football world what everybody else was aware of. Then why are we talking about it? Aaron Rodgers gets what he wants in the Jets organization, and general manager Joe Douglas is happy to take a back seat. Yet it's not just Rodgers running roughshod over Douglas. Who else could be running roughshod over Douglas? Let's see. While it's been written that Douglas takes his lead from Aaron Rodgers, it was written. Where is it written? Well, in the last article. That's what we're talking about, right? So he's referencing the last article, which is a result of the general manager not forcing his will rather than an edict from above. Many more believe he acquiesces to the wants of Robert Saleh too much. So now we're learning that Robert Saleh's the big boss. It's really Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers. Those are the GMs. And they point to the Will McDonald pick as the main kind of catalyst for this opinion. Where do we stand on that one? I say there's probably some credence to the idea that Robert Saleh was in favor of drafting a wide 9 edge rusher, right? Why not? Why wouldn't he want him? So I think there's validity there. But here's the thing, and I talked about this last week. I literally said something to the effect of the best GMs in the NFL get their coach what they need. Not just like Mike McCagnon was famous for just getting players that he wanted. Didn't matter if Todd Bowles thought they were good, thought that he could use them. They were the type of player. Didn't matter to him. He didn't let the scouts and coaches talk, the whole thing. So we have a general manager that's getting up the opinion of his coach. I think that's totally fine. In the same respect of the previous comment with Aaron Rodgers. Dude, you go out and you get yourself a Hall of Fame quarterback. There's nobody on this damn team that's going to the Hall of Fame other than him, and maybe the young guys, we don't know. But there's nobody else here that's going to the Hall of Fame. So you bring in a guy, multiple MVPs, Super Bowl champion, Hall of Fame resume. Of course, it makes total sense that you're going to give him some say in what he wants to see. Of course, man. You want it to work. You don't go, hey, now that you're here, shut up. Shut your pie hole, buddy. I'm doing what I want. I don't give a shit what you like. You're not going to do that. It's a working relationship. But to what degree is Joe Douglas, being dictated to by Robert Saleh? Is the Will McDonald pick enough? I don't know, man. I don't know if I buy it. If you look at Joe Douglas's drafts, the top end is really offensive heavy. It really is. You look at 2020, Becton and Mims up top. Right, that's his first and second round. You look at 2021, it's Zach Wilson, AVT, Michael Carter, and Elijah Moore. That was the first 4 picks. That's all offense. Look at 2022, you get Sauce, there's some defense. And then you get Garrett Wilson with the 2 top 10 picks. And he trades back up, gets Jermaine Johnson, but then he trades up in the second to get Breece Hall. So he's balanced on that one. So here we in 2023, he does the Will McDonald thing, but then he gets Joe Tippmann, right, with his second round pick. And then he's doing Carter Warren Carter Warren was a 4th. I think Carter Warren's a 4th. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if I see it. I don't know if I see an acquiescing of the general manager to the coach. 1 pick? Maybe. I mean, maybe once Broderick Jones is off, I made my case at the time. Should have been Anton Harrison. He was my favorite tackle in the class anyway. So it's, it is what it is. But they did the thing that confused the living hell out of us. We didn't know what we were even seeing.
The New York Jets. Jets.
Come on.
Select Will McDonald, linebacker, Iowa State. Let's go.
Wow. All right.
What the hell just happened?
I didn't see that coming.
So it is what it is. Now, maybe that pick, once their guy was gone, we saw Flight 23. It didn't look like Joe Douglas wanted Broderick Jones. We don't know what that really is. Let's just take it at face value. He didn't want Broderick Jones then. Broderick Jones wasn't his number one anyway. It was the tight end and Will McDonald. So who knows if this is real. They seemed nervous that Will McDonald was going to get taken. So they clearly liked him. Maybe it was Robert Saleh, but it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be tough to sell that one to a guy like me, that Joe Douglas is dictating to the guy who, don't forget, is more concerned, if you believe the previous article, with being friends with everybody. He's too soft, yet he's fucking pushing Joe Douglas around. So, I'm sorry, Robert Saleh, I'll do whatever you need. It just doesn't, these pieces don't fit to me. Does that make sense? And I'm really trying to be objective. And I know I'm a Jets fan. I'm well aware of my homeritis. I get it. But I try really hard to be objective. There was plenty that I see is true. Is Zach Wilson a bad pick? Sure. Is, Hackett? Yeah, of course. He sucks. I mean, he struggled without Aaron Rodgers. I don't think there's any real news there. But this is the stuff you pull out and you go, well, I haven't heard that before. That's interesting. So now Joe Douglas is too nice, and he's so nice, he's being dictated to by the other guy who's just concerned if everybody likes him. So it's interesting. The other piece is that he said that, some players complained that Robert Saleh would make promises about playing time or whatever, and then the positional coach would say things like, oh, that was never in the plans. So Robert Saleh is now what we would call a liar. I mean, that's basically, I didn't call him a liar. Yeah, you kind of did. Here's the thing. I'm a very brass tacks kind of fella. So if you're going to say that Robert Saleh said something to a player, the positional coach said that was never part of the plan, that makes one of them either flat out wrong, like the positional coach is either wrong, or Robert Saleh's lying to players because he's a yes man. He wants everybody to like him, so he just says whatever you want to hear. What do you think? You think that's where we are? I don't know, man. I struggle. So here's the big piece. So let's look at this quote real quick, and then we'll talk about this one. It says, multiple sources inside the league tell me the Jets believe that Rex Hogan was the source of media leaks that embarrassed the team last season. And there have been several leaks that began during the second half of the season, starting with Zach Wilson's reluctance to be inserted back into the lineup and went through the month of January. So we were all figuring that out. Now, I said, if this person that's writing the article, Rosini, whatever, if she was inside, why didn't she know that Rex Hogan was gone for 3 weeks already? A piece that I didn't even think of. Maybe because Rex Hogan is the source in the first place. That's pretty deep guy. We thought maybe Taylor Embry, obviously Tyler Boyd, those kinds of names. But if Rex Hogan is the leak, it's an interesting thing because by and large, this regime has been airtight, which is why these are so big stories and, such big stories in the first place. The fact that leaks are coming out of this organization is new. We don't hear anything about what they're doing. That's real. Since Joe Douglas has come, it's been airtight. So if his right-hand man is the guy and they get rid of him and we don't hear about his name in the story, there you go. It's starting to make sense. So I'll buy that. I'll buy that Rex Hogan was at least one of the sources, the 30 people. And who knows, right? Who knows? I think he's probably telling the truth. He's probably, if he's saying stuff, he's at least saying, some of the things that are in there. But everything's subjective. My feelings on if you're too nice, the guy's an asshole, or the guy's too nice, or that's just my opinion. What do I know? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's my thoughts. It's my opinion on the matter. So maybe that has something to do with it. Either way, that's an interesting nugget. And if he is the leak, I'm glad they got rid of him. And let's see what the Jets do going into it. But again, I don't see too much here. Look, the Jets had 7 wins last year. We had 7 wins the year before. I'm going to tell you my thought, and I've said it 1,000 times. This is not going to be fresh and new for you, but my thought is there's one real variable that was consistent in both years, and that's Zach Wilson. We saw the same problems, although there was growth. They were hamstrung by the fact that we really didn't have a quarterback. Woody went out there and flapped his gums about not having a backup quarterback, meaning Zach Wilson sucks. We were stuck with the same guy that was our biggest problem the year before. He was benched numerous times. We saw guys come in, whether it was Flacco, Mike White, Josh Johnson, and they come in, they throw for 300 yards or whatever it might be. Zach Wilson just... for whatever reason, if he goes somewhere else, he's great. Good for him, man. I don't have any hate for the man himself. But as far as the quarterback of the New York Jets, I'm done. I'm done watching the Zach Wilson experiment. And that, to me, is the real problem. So that's what we've seen. So you got to move on. You got to get the offensive lineman, get Garrett Wilson some help, and get the quarterback going. If Aaron Rodgers goes down, we fall back to a guy that can play NFL football, at least at an average level, and I think we're going to be a different team. So I don't think we're that far off, guys. I really don't. I don't think we're that far off. But this drama, I can't wait to see next week's article. Oh, what will we learn? Oh, we're going to find out that CJ Mosley does coke in the locker room before. I mean, what? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it is. But we got the draft coming up. We got free agency coming up in a couple weeks, everybody. A month. A month from now, we'll be talking free agency. It'll be a good time. And that's the stuff we really want to talk about anyway. And that's why later tonight, you're going to come hang out with us for the 10 o'clock mock where Dom C and myself, we get into it. It's a great time. We've been having a blast. Guys, you make the picks. You make the picks. It's the greatest thing in the world. And at the end, we do our letter grades. It's a really, really good time. It's my favorite stream, quite frankly. And I look forward to it. We'll see you tonight. With that all said, have a great day, great rest of the week. I hope we see you for the 10 o'clock mock. But as always, go Jets.